Welcome to the most concise course for IELTS 2021. In this video, we will understand what IELTS listening is all about. If you need the full course with extensive data, detailed explanation, many mock tests, unlimited feedback, writing and speaking samples, you can go to ielts.learnwithsimonash.com and get yourself registered. If you just want the explanation and not all the data, there's a playlist provided in the description.
So there will be total 40 questions that will be asked in listening, and you will be listening in audio, and that audio tape will play for another 30 to 35 minutes, right? And this will be the first test in your exam. What do you mean by first test? 3 of the tests will be taken on a single day. So listening, reading and writing will be taken on a one day, and among which listening will be first, then comes reading and then writing. Okay, so you will have a little bit less pressure than later one because you already have gone through one. So you are good, happy to go in listening. You're ready for that part. Okay, now comes how many sections are there and what are the meanings of the section. As I said earlier, there are 40 questions in overall in listening total, and these questions are divided into 4 sections. Okay, section 1, section 2, section 3, section 4. And difficulty level always increases. So this is a little bit okay, this is a little bit harder, and this is like even harder, and this is the hardest because there's no pauses in there. You keep playing the audio. The other difficulties, don't worry about them. For now, remember there are 4 different sections, and each section has a little bit higher difficulty than the next one. So this one has less and this one is the highest. So 4 sections, and as I said, 40 questions and 10 questions on each section are being organized. Okay, wonderful. Now let me play an example for you to see how exam is being taken so that you get an idea. All right, I'm going to go to the other screen. So there will be an audio that will be played, and you have to answer the question based on the audio. I'll be showing the question on the screen right now, and the audio will be played at the same time. Let's start then.
Orient Computer Solutions.
Hi, I'm Robert Smith.
Hello, Rupert.
Oh no, not Rupert, it's Robert.
I'm sorry, Mr. Smith. Do you have an account with us?
Yes, I do.
Can you please tell me your street name?
It's Abbey Rise, Abbeyrise.
And your phone number as well?
0521 256532.
Thank you. Let me have a look.
Thank you. Alright, so if you heard the answers and if you could provide the answer, that's wonderful. Let me just show you the answers on the screen right now. Can you see them? Great. If you got all the answers correct, that means you're on the right track. If not, don't worry. We'll be saying the tips and tricks to find such answers. These kind of questions are called form filling. This is just one of the types of question. No need to worry about these are the only type you will get. You'll get other types as well.
Great. So you got the idea how the exam has been organized, and if you get all the answers correct, wonderful. And remember, 1 correct answer equal to 1 point or 1 mark for that. If you get 40 out of 40, you get 9 bands. In listening only, if you get even 39, it's still 9 bands. This is the trick. And if you get below that, your bands are reduced. Okay, remember that in this case in listening. So it's very easy to get full out of full in listening. Most of the people get anything between 8 to 9 or 7.5 minimum, because listening is much easier compared to other sections. All right, because your question, you will be writing the answers in the question sheet. You saw earlier in the example that you listen, and while you're listening, you also write the answers in the answer sheet. So you write the answers first in the question sheet. Later you copy them to the answer sheet, and don't worry about that. You will get 10 minutes extra after the exam is over to copy them into the answer sheet. Let me show you how the answer sheet looks like so that you get an idea. Okay, there you go.
Once you finish the 40 questions after the audio is being played, all the audios, and you write the answers in the question sheet, you have to copy the answers from the question sheet to the answer sheet, and this is how the answer sheet looks like. Okay, above you will have personal information, and below you have to write the answers from 1 to 40. Okay, wonderful.
So this is how the answer sheet looks like right? And here you just copy from 1 to 40 all the answers which you have written in your question sheet, and for that, earlier as I said, 10 minutes will be provided, so don't worry about that, do it in the end. Okay, great. Now we are back here. Now let's see what are these sections and how what happens in this section and what kind of difference are there. First of all, section 1. Section 1 consists of conversation. First of all, conversation means two people, one or two people speak, not one but two people speaking. In this area, exactly two people speaking, and generally, not generally, for sure, context is regular context. That means everyday context. So they must be like, for example, a travel arrangement being provided. I mean, information of travel arrangement being provided to a person that they call. Let's say I'm a person who is asking for travel arrangement, and there will be a travel guide who will be providing me information on phone. So you'll be hearing their conversation and you can answer the questions like we saw in earlier example in the video. So this is section 1. Generally they are form filling kind of questions. Okay, this is generally very easy, and as the context is everyday context, you can understand it. Now comes section 2. In section 2, this context stays the same, but the type changes. The type changes to monologue. In case of monologue, that means only one person gonna speak. Okay, so it gets a little bit monotonous, but a little bit and a little bit boring, and the context still stays the same. So for example, one person describing any facility or any information regarding a service that you receive in the town will be providing about a lecture about that, and you'll be asked question based on that. Okay, so this will get a little bit difficult compared to section 1. I mean, the speed of speaking will also change. Now comes section 3. In section 3, this is again a conversation. Okay, but here the conversation can turn to discussion. That means more than 2 people can be there. So equal to or more than 2. Alright, and here the context will change as well, because the context here is academic. That means people studies regarding audio regarding some studies from a journal, from a scientific paper will be discussed by 2 students, and a professor is interrupting or telling them what is right, what is wrong, or 3 people discussing among themselves something academic. So this is what I mean by section 3. And finally comes section 4. In this section, this will also be a context of scientific or let's say academic, but it will be a monologue. So same thing what your examiner teach you while going through a lecture. This will be like a lecture from any context like formation of sediments, formation of sand, formation of rocks, or how this thing is formed or that thing is formed, but definitely academic context. Remember that. And this will be a lecture, and this will be whole section within one go. So 10 questions in a go, you have to write the answer. Earlier you had a pause, like look at question 1 to 6, and then they keep, and after 6 there is a pause. You can look at 7 to 8 for some, 7 to 10 for some time. Here, no, from 31 to 40 all at a time. So that's a little bit difficult than compared to other sections. Okay, and remember please, grammar and spelling mistakes, grammatical mistakes and spelling mistakes are not allowed. If you write anything wrong according to the grammar of the sentence, it's wrong, as well as spellings, both are considered wrong. So you won't be getting scored for that. Now let's see some types. What are the types of questions you might get, with examples on the screen right now. Alright, so we are here with the question types themselves, and there are many examples included. I would say at least one example, or let's say 1 to 5 examples are there in the question types. I request you not to think this way, that these examples are the only examples that will be asked in question. These are the question types you might get. The examples might change. Okay. And secondly, the sequence which I'm showing here, the questions also might change, because I'm showing you first one question type and second is MCQ. It doesn't mean that in exam you'll be getting MCQ in second type as well, right? These are just the question type that you might get in exam. Okay, so let's look at the first one. It's called form filling. In here, this generally is in the first section where conversation is important, and you might hear something like, hello, my name is James Bardo and I'm looking for a course. So you see example is written there as name James Bardo, and what kind of course are you looking for? They might hear, you might ask in the audio, and the person might say, I'm looking for language courses. And which course is in language, like I'm looking forward to learn Chinese language, so Chinese will be the answer there, right? So then you have to answer for branch, for number of students, then course starting date, and alternative contact number. So there might be an audio going through not might, for sure there will be an audio, and you have to answer these questions. At the time of the listening of audio, you have to write in the question sheet and then later copy in the answer sheet. Second question type is called MCQs. Now MCQ has many types in them. I'll try to explain in them. First one is when there's a single answer involved with the MCQ, like multiple options but single answer, and the options are in single word. For example, student wants to study with her blank. Student wants to study with her blank. So it might be friend, it might be tutor, it might be cousin. Now it depends on the audio, what is the answer here. And second question type is, yes, there might be single answer out of the three options, but the options are not in single word, they are in sentences, as you can see here, right? So the question is, according to Robert, which of the following is the best for his brother's health? Going for a walk every day, fresh fruits and vegetables, exercising in the evening. So these are the options you have to choose from. You'll be hearing an audio about, discussing about the brother or something like that. Now, the third kind of question is when we have multiple answers within the option. So let's say 3 possible answers out of these 6 options. So this is called MCQ with multiple answers, right? The question will be, which 3 things aren't allowed in the new theater? Okay, that is one thing. Now comes table filling or table completion. In here, instead of normal completion, as we saw earlier, form completion, there will be a table involved in that. So there will be rows and columns there. You have to figure out from rows and columns what information might be there. So for example, the speech might okay, so what we're going to provide here is an English course which will be starting on weekdays, right? And so far there are around 15 students there in weekdays. And the tutor who will be teaching, or the person who will be teaching you, will be Mr. Smith. Looking for the next course, which is French, and then they'll describe the answer. They'll go in the sequence, of course, like English, this course, students, and tutor, and then French. So you understand what I'm trying to say here. The sequence will be maintained in this way, like going through rows and columns, right? And while listening, you have to write in the question paper. This is I'm showing you on a screen. There you'll be like question paper provided to you. Okay, this is called table completion. Then comes really interesting stuff. It's called map, graph, pie chart, or anything filling, labeling it. So you might get something like this, what you are seeing right now on the screen. You might get a map where you have to fill what is A, what is B, what is C, and what is D, or what is, not A. You have to choose from A, B, C, D for town hall. Which one is the town hall? Which area is the town hall? Is it A? Is it B? From the audio provided. Where are the trees growing? It could be A, it could be D, it could be E. You'll be hearing a description of the map, and from that you have to provide the answer. It's interesting and as well as difficult sometimes. You might get lost in the map. How to solve these questions? Well, in the coming videos when we are going through maps and tips and tricks for maps, you will see how to solve these questions easily. There are some certain things that you have to take care, and rest is all easy. Alright. Next question type is fill in the blanks, or let's say complete the summary overall. It's not like complete the summary in a table, but overall there will be a whole passage going on and there will be summary that are required, right? There will be heading, for example, Museum of Films, and they will be giving a whole speech. From that you have to find out the answers in between the whole speech, right? You have to just keep filling when you're listening and when you're understanding. So that is called completing the summary kind of question. Then we have matching question. In matching question, you might hear something like when they were going through some problem or some test, one of the person was really scared about it, or one of the person was little scared about it, and the person name they were described in the audio. So you have to match which person what. Of course, because there are 4 questions and 3 options, so options can repeat in that case. And these kind of questions are, I would say, not that difficult until and unless you lose track of it. Because losing track in listening is the easiest and the worst situation. Okay, I would say this question type you have to fill which person is what understanding the question. You'll give you 30 seconds to understand the question. I mean, let's say you finished the questions before that. After that, you will get 30 seconds. So it's important to understand these questions first of all. Because if you don't understand what you have to fill in there, things get a little bit tricky then. Now the next one is answer in short. There will be direct question for you to answer based on the audio. So the question, let's say, when is the meeting taking place in the research building? So they must have said something like morning, noon, or at 12, at this time or that time, right? So I think you got that idea. Then we have how many employees are going to attend the meeting. Based on that, based on the audio, you will be giving answers. Of course, it's important to read the instructions, but don't worry, right now I'm not giving all the information and tricks. There will be coming video. This is just to make you familiar about how questions are being asked, what kind of questions are being asked. Okay, wonderful. So I think that was all, right? You could see the difference between types of questions in here. And I wouldn't say they're all difficult or anyone is particularly difficult. Yes, things get a little bit tricky when some questions come up. If you know the trick, they are not that difficult. So we can go back to the board. Okay, so I'm going to provide you examples on the screen. I think I've provided you one of the example already, which is form filling, right? Which was kind of easy, which you saw earlier in the example. That is fine, right? But how do we solve that? You have seen the example. How do we solve it by that? Firstly, remember that we are non-native speakers. Hence, it is fine that you don't understand everything. But at the time of exam, please remember that you have to understand English to that extent that you can understand most of the listening part. Okay? Second thing is that always read the instructions. If you read the instructions on the top, you will see number of words you need to write in the answer if they are blanks. If you mismatch the number of words which are asked in the instructions, they will consider it that you don't know how to read instructions. They will be reducing marks based on that. Sometimes they say not more than 2 words. What then? Well, then you cannot write more than 2, that you cannot write 3. Sometimes they say not more than 1 word, that you cannot write more than 1. If it's not more than 2, that means you can write 1 or 2, but not more than 2. I hope you get the idea. Great. Apart from that, in this question type which I gave you earlier, there might be distractions. So the thing that might be hindering your score is distractions. They might try to change the answer and say, oh no, that was not the answer. That was not the prize for that. I think I made a mistake. So you might have written the first prize and you didn't change it. Apart from that, you might watch out for units. For example, this is the blank and it says this many dollars. And if they have written the sign dollar, not in the blank but outside the blank, that means you don't have to write the sign again. So let's say $25 is the answer, right? $25 is the answer. You don't have to write dollars. If they have not written the dollar sign, okay, they have left it like this, then you have to write $25. Or you can write in the word as well. That is fine. $25, DOLLAR, that is fine. Apart from that, the last thing that they might distract you with or they might trick you with are the numbers. Okay, in numbers, what I mean is number 0, because 0 can be said in different ways in various countries. So in UK, they might call it O as the letter O in English. So the letter O. They might call it not, like in US. So UK, they might say no, O, and in US, they might say not. Or sometimes they say null, right? Or they might sometimes say simply 0. So watch out that they might say 0 in a phone number. They might ask for phone number and somebody is dictating their phone number. You have to write it down. So you might be thinking, what is this O suddenly in the middle? Because it's a way of calling 0. Okay. So these were the kind of tips for writing form filling kind of examples which you saw earlier.
Remember, this was the shortest version of the topic we discussed today. If you want details of the same topic or more about it, go to the link provided in the description or ielts.learnwithsimonash.com. You will get pre-recorded sessions with everything possible which is provided on your screen right now. I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a nice time. See you soon.